Hello there, wrestling fans, and welcome back to the channel because we're once again back here for the internationally known Dudes at Ringside podcast. I am your host, Joe the Panther the Third, and man, last weekend, 2 weekends ago, I was at PPW Lives, sitting there with Papa Panther, and I got introduced to a person by the ABJ introduced me to a gentleman that I am talking to right now on the podcast, and he is been in the business for 2 years. I think he told me, let's give a warm Dudes at Ringside welcome to Zack Xander. Welcome.
Oh, thank you, dudes. What's happening? Checking it out here at the internationally known podcast, Dudes at Ringside. Checking it out. Hey, Joe, thank you for having me, my friend.
No problem, man. Like, as being a person from the Keystone State, like, this is sort of cool that I got. Actually, this episode's dedicated to Anthony Blackwell Jr., man. If Anthony didn't introduce me to you, I would never be able to be talking to you on the channel right now. So
Yeah,
if like,
absolutely.
yeah, if my internationally known fans are not familiar with you, and why would they not be? Introduce yourself.
Well, thank you, Joe. My name is Zack Xander. I'm pretty new into the game. I'm pretty up and coming, but we're touring everything. We're hitting all the spots. We're trying to go everywhere, baby. And we're just rocking it out. We're living our lives, and we're having a good time.
Yes, that's always the good way to be, man. So, Zach, who trained you?
That's a good question. So I've had my hand like a pretty handful of people who've trained me. I've been in a lot of pools. I've dipped my toes in a lot of pools. So I started my professional training in 2019 under a guy named Yankee the Difference Maker. He does a lot of work around the New York, New Jersey area. Yankee then introduced me into a promoter named Gino Caruso. Gino runs East Coast Professional Wrestling (ECPW), and Gino got me into his school, and I started there. Worked there as a ref, trained with Gino and his crew for a little bit. Um, After Gino, because Gino is just a 2 hour drive for me, it was a little bit too far to make on a consistent enough basis. So I sort of, I stopped training for a little bit, not terribly long, but I started attending seminars and going to classes. In this point, I went to a seminar with Doc Gallows, attended one of his seminars, and met Alpha Jr. I did a class with Alpha Jr. And the Samoan training is a very, very tough training, let me tell you. Those guys really go through it, and all the respect to them because
Yeah.
they're doing a whole lot, a whole lot of work out there. So I did that, but again, it was just a little bit too far out for me. Until I found this place, I was introduced by a person to this place called the Sanctuary. And from that point on, that's where I've been training. That's where I've been working. Well, that's where I was working. And yeah, it was a really fun experience. Getting to introduce myself to those people and for them to take me under their wings. That's something I'm grateful for. I'm very happy that I had that opportunity to go ahead and do that and to get myself familiar with those guys. And from there, I've been able to spread my wings and I've been able to go to so many other different places.
Awesome. So, what what made you get into the wrestling business? Who were some of your influences?
That's a great question. Honestly, so like it was just when I first saw it on TV. I remember as a young kid, I was sitting on the couch with my dad, and I was scrolling through the channels with him, and I think it was an episode of Monday Night Raw in '07, and I specifically remember either Vicky Guerrero or Lita at the time. Not entirely sure the two who or of who it was, but I remember it was either one of them with Edge, and it was just that lighting, that atmosphere, that energy, all the noise that everybody was making. It was such a cool feeling, and I was like, man, that's what I want to do. That's the thing I want to do when I grow up. Um, and now I've gotten that ability to do that. I mean, not on that stage, But I've gotten to play in the lights. I've gotten to hear the energy from the crowd. I've gotten to feel that atmosphere a little bit, and it's something I'm forever grateful of.
Awesome. So, what were you thinking the first time you ever set foot in the training facility where you first trained?
The first time I ever stepped foot there, it was a different feeling, man. Just getting to learn things, getting taught psychology, and getting to study up, watch footage, see how people do things, and especially with the guy I trained with, Yankee, it was a very one-on-one direct sort of thing. So getting that sort of experience and getting to talk to him and like learn from his knowledge and pick his brain. Yankee is a dude I've known for a long time. So the fact that I actually got to sit down and talk to him and work with him, and that the fact that he took me under his wing is something I'll forever be grateful for. And to answer the question, it was a different feeling. It was a good feeling, but it was a different feeling, and I can't just describe that, unfortunately.
It's hard because like sometimes like I've had these wrestlers that tell them to ask them the same question. Sometimes they're like, "Oh my god, my energy was overwhelming," and I sat down and I heard them talking to me, and I was kind of like, "Oh my god, I can't believe I'm here." Some of them were like, "Oh my gosh, I knew I was going there." But here we go. Flash a little forward. What was your energy like the first time? What was your
Yes.
energy like the first time you heard your music and you went through that curtain for your first match?
Dude, it was cool. So the first time like I heard my music, because I have a custom theme song. So like it was a song specifically made for me. Like my intro is on there. And when I heard that, and when I got to go through a curtain, and when people got to hear me and see me, and like that energy just went up. That adrenaline kicks over, and you're just on a different cloud. It's a whole different ride. It's a lot different from going to a wrestling show to taking part in a wrestling show. Because now that I've taken part in it, you get to hear the energy, you get to feel those emotions, and it's insane. It is such, like it is a very overwhelming feeling, especially at first. And there's no real like getting used to it. It's just how can I play with it?
Mm.
um, and getting to figure out how to play that on my journey has been a real fun one. But the first time I went out, dude, it was insane, let me tell you.
Mm.
Man, I'm so happy that I got to wrestle in front of a pretty decent sized audience. And it was fun. It was a real good
Who
feeling.
was your opponent? Do you remember?
So my first match, I remember the guy's first name was Ace. It was at a real small promotion. I can't remember his last name, unfortunately. But I remember it was like it was his first match, his first professional match. My first match post training. And yeah, dude, like we went out there, and I mean, for what it was, it was solid. But just yeah, seeing how things progress and get better. I know the guy I wrestled isn't currently wrestling.
Mm.
He's real life, he's doing his thing. And I hope nothing but the best for him. But the first time we did it, it was a solid thing. It was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Awesome. So like for my fans overseas in England and Scotland, hey guys, and France everywhere else, and India, hello.
Hello.
If they have never seen you wrestle, what are they looking for? What are they if they find your matches on YouTube? Where like what kind of like style would you consider yourself being?
Okay. I would definitely say I'm a little bit more of a hybrid. I do a lot of lucha, but I'd also mix in a little bit of technical there. So I got a little bit of technical paralysis as well as a heavy dose of lucha. You could find me on several different platforms. I performed for We Are One. I had performed for Smash Master Wrestling. I performed for the Sanctuary. I performed for Chosen Pro Wrestling. I have performed for Versus the World Wrestling. I've gone to quite a few different places. Orochi Pro Wrestling. I'll be making my debut coming up here. This up. Well, actually, I don't know if this is gonna be up before then. But I'll be making my debut the weekend after recording this. on October 21st over at EHW Extreme Hybrid Wrestling in Tamaqua, Pennsylvania.
Ooh.
Um, I'm just all over it, I'm sort of hitting the spots, just trying to do my thing. And all those, you can find those on YouTube. Those are all clips publicly available for everyone.
That's the most important thing. You've been in the business for 2 years, and you're not just sitting back going with the phone there staring at it going, I'm a wrestler. They're all gonna book
Yeah,
me. And the phone just stays black and you hear the crickets and your phone's full of spider webs. You're getting your name out
yeah,
there. You're doing things like I saw you at PPW. You're gutting out. You're talking to people. You're bumping elbows. You're asking. So like when you get in this locker room and you see an older wrestler that's been in the indies or like somebody that's been in the business, do you ever walk up and ask them questions?
of course, absolutely. I always say that it doesn't matter what happens out there as long as I get to go to a show and pick brains, then it's been a good day. I'm very fortunate for the spot that I'm in currently. I've seen a lot of people, a lot of great people, a lot of very talented people, um, and people who've been in the game for a long time. So I've been able to pick heads and take notes and jot things down and try to progress myself and advance myself and just take things to heart too. That's a big way of helping, I would say. I mean, not, like if it's negative, don't take it all to heart. But if there's valid criticisms, then absolutely. If there's room for improvement, which there always is, try to improve. Just keep advancing yourself and keep doing better. And getting to talk with some of those people has definitely helped me out a ton with that.
Awesome. So, what would you say would you be your legitimate finishing move? Like, what would it be?
So my finisher is the sliced bread number two. Um, And on a very rare occasion, I do have a submission finisher as well, which I never use, just because I hadn't felt like a time was appropriate. But I do use the cattle mutilation as well as my other finish, which again, it doesn't always happen. It's very rare when I bust it out, but it happens, and
Mm.
it's at 100% success rate. So it's always worked.
So is there any indie wrestler that's in Pennsylvania or New York or like the tri-state area that you've seen on Instagram or seen on YouTube that you're like, man, I want to wrestle with this guy. Like, I want to wrestle with them.
1,000%. Oh my goodness, yeah. Social media is absolutely. I've seen some on my socials. I've seen some in person. I've seen quite a lot in person that I would love to wrestle. And there's people, that share that mutual feeling, and I'm very grateful for it. But I'd love to get in there, tango with everyone. And it's not just anyone specific, but like there's people I've seen all over on socials, and it's just I've never wrestled them, but man, I would love to. Like, I would love to get in the ring with them. Brando Lee is currently someone who's sitting real high up there with me. We've never really interacted. I think we've shook hands one time. But Brando Lee is someone who I would love to get in the ring with. I've seen him all over on socials. I know he's killing it out there right now. But that is a dude who I'd really love to get in there with.
Awesome. Like, is there any like wrestling style like type of match that if like the booker came up to you and said, "Oh, I want you to do this tonight," you'd be like, "I don't know if I could do that."
I mean, yes and no. Like, I mean, I do have my limits. But like, I mean, like I've done it. Like I've never been crazy about hardcore wrestling. I've never been a big hardcore guy. But you know what? I've competed in one. I've done my fair share of hardcore matches. Actually, at one of the more recent Smash Master wrestling shows, over at the Susquehanna Brewery, I was in a big Fatal 4-Way Horror NATO tag team match, and it was the main event of the show. And a Horror NATO tag team match is a big Fatal 4-Way, anything goes, no disqualification, hardcore tag match. And there was a whole lot of things involved. It should be coming up on the YouTube channel pretty soon over at Smash Master Wrestling. Not sure when that's going to be going up, but I do know that it will be eventually getting itself up there. And dude, let me tell you, it was a crazy match. I did a moonsault off a U-Haul.
What? That's
Yeah,
crazy, dude. When
I
that
know.
When you get that clip from the Smash Masters people, please send it my way. I would love to post that on the YouTube and the Instagram page because that's something crazy right there.
Oh, absolutely. It's on my Instagram over at Zack.Xander1. It's over on my Instagram right there. So if that's something you want to check it out, baby. That's what
Awesome.
we do.
So when you're not in your like when you're out in public eating food, like where would you say you would love to? What is your favorite food?
Oh my goodness. My favorite food. That's a good question. I'm a big fry guy. Always have, always will be. I'm a big fry guy.
What would you like to put
Um,
on them? What do you put on your fries?
See, I don't put anything on my fries.
Like I
I
mean, like when you get
appreciate
like those cool fries, you put gravy on it, put cheese on it. You get like not
no,
like
just
nothing.
straight fry. I appreciate the art of the French fry. Just the majesty of it. Big
Mhm.
old fry guy. As long as it's got fries, I'll always sit there try to rate those fries, see if it's worth it, see if it's worth going back, if it's worth my time. But I'm always number one fry guy. I'll take
Awesome.
that right now.
Like, do you collect anything, Zach?
Uh yeah. Yeah, I do. No, that's a good question. So I mean, I have obviously a wrestling figure collection, as some people, should. But also I'm actually a real big monster truck guy. Always have been since I was a little kid. Um, and I have a real big monster truck collection. Fortunately, it's sitting in my attic right now just because I don't have the space to put it out.
Hmm.
But you know, I've always loved monster trucks, and that's something that I appreciate, always have appreciated. And my friends, real cool fact about me is I have friends who do get to drive monster trucks for a living and who have been on national television driving monster trucks. And, always respect the community and respect those who come from it. I'll actually be on a YouTube video for some monster trucks coming up soon here. Go check it out on the T Ray YouTube channel, Full Boogie Tilt T Ray. Checking it out there.
Awesome. So in closing, if my fans would like to follow you on social media, how can they find you?
Instagram is the best place to do that, man. Like I said before, at Zack.Xander1, that would be your best place to find me. That's where I'll always keep people up to date. I'll keep people posted. Always sharing things, always hearing about new things, and always posting clips, at least when I can. But that if you're gonna find me on any social media platform, Instagram at Zack.Xander1 is the best place to find me.
Awesome. If there was any young male or female that wanted to get into the wrestling business, like what kind of advice would you give them?
Always, always, if I can give any advice, it's always keep going. I know times are going to be seem very tough, and it's going to be a very difficult journey and a battle. But always keep going, because if you keep going, you can establish those connections and you can meet the right people, and that is going to be the best thing to do. Don't stop. Keep on your grind, and if you can, keep going, and always keep going. It doesn't stop. Shoot, you know what? There was a real good piece, and I can't remember it. And that's the unfortunate thing. I had a real solid piece for that question specifically. I just don't remember the answer right now.
Hmm.
But always keep going. That is the big advice that I'll always give to everyone. Keep going. Don't stop. Always. It never that grind never ends.
Awesome. Zach, before I go, is there anywhere my fans could pick up any merch of yours? Where can they find it?
Absolutely. So I do have a pro wrestling tees store, prowrestlingtees.com/Zack if you want to get some Zack Xander t-shirts, we have some available in a couple of different designs. But also, I'm around, baby. I'm trying to hit up as many spots as I can. Specifically in the Northeast Pennsylvania area. Like I said, October 21st, I'll be at Extreme Hybrid Wrestling. October 29th, I'll be over at Smashmaster Wrestling. I'll always have some t-shirts, 8x10s, pins. I'll have all of those types of stuff on me. So there's always places you can find it online. But for the international folks, like I said, I have my t-shirts on prowrestlingtees.com/Zack Xander.
Awesome. Zach, I want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast, and it was an honor to meet you at the PPW show. Definitely, we
Thank
have to
you.
meet each other again. I definitely am trying
Absolutely.
to attend the October 29th show in Scranton because
Yes, at the Voodoo Brewery.
ooh, another brewery. That's what's funny.
Yes.
I live in Milford, PA, and we actually have a brewery in my town.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I gotta mention that to the owner of Smash. That hey, Joe Panther Third says there's a brewery in Milford, PA. So
Hey, if
maybe
you're
you
gonna come
guys
out,
come a little closer. I could help a little more
that's
on
fair.
promoting.
That's fair.
Well,
Well, hey, if you want to come out October 29th, you'll definitely meet him. So
yes, I'm Joe Panther Third,
I'm Zack Xander.
and we will catch you in the next one. Good night, everybody.